Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Farah. Welcome to my channel. Hi, how are you? Maybe this is me with a little more mic emphasis. Hello, hi. It is 6 o'clock, October 19th. It's Sunday night. Welcome to my YouTube. I'm Chris Farah, where today I will be talking about Love is Blind Season 9. Listen, it's episode 10, it's episode 11, it's a two-part recap mega ep. And I mean, excited to see people in the room. Thank you so much for being here. Go ahead and like the video, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't, or hit the notification bell or whatever you need to do, just so that people are like, oh, cool, this person talking. And then we'll get into, what is inevitably the I told you so moment of this season for me. It feels like that is what, maybe you could be like, well, the I told you so could happen at the weddings, but I feel like it's happening now. And it's listen, spoiler alert, people be dropping like flies. And the funny thing is, this whole season people dropped like really early on. Like no one can fucking pretend or play. Like I wonder if it's the following things. A, I really blame this casting. I don't feel like they had, a lot to choose from. But also B, I just wonder if the trajectory of the world is so that it's hard for people to like trust falling in love right now because the world is so wild. So, do you think that's true? Do you think that, I don't know, do you read that with what's happening? This is obviously a very weird episode or two-part episode, as we honestly are supposed to believe that any of these couples have a shot in hell at making it. We were supposed to believe, that like Patrick and Casey coming out of the pods like had an honest shot because, we were led to believe that there was a genuine connection because her dad sings Korean and she has a blonde sister that decided to make a living by singing in Korean. And so we were then like, okay, great. Well, they're married. Okay. So obviously I'm, first of all, joking. Also B, buying myself some time as people get in the room, but also C, really just being like, yeah, like this is a wild season where no one likes each other at all. And then hi, Hawaiian dude. Aloha. No, I'm sorry. Horrible. Hi. Nice to see you. You can't drink. Okay. What does your sign say? Let me see. You can't drink something water. Oh, it's so small. Wait, I have to get close as fuck to it. Wait 1 second. You can't drink our water. You can't drink our water is like something. I can obviously not tell. Tell me what it means. I really tried so hard. I thought I would really figure it out, especially because it took me so long. You can't drink oil. Oh, water is like what? You can't drink oil. Water is like, okay. I'm so sorry. This probably this is, if this is like a political statement because or something, I should know about it. I'm so sorry, Hawaiian dude. But like, what else is happening, guys? We're gonna start probably around like the 5-minute mark, which is about like a minute in. So tell me what the haps has been. How's your week been? Obviously, Love is Blind is what we're talking about today. And then coming up on the channel this week, we'll get into Sister Wives, which is airing tonight, if you are so inclined. And then 90 Day Fiance Toe, the other way, I'll do on Tuesday. And also probably Sister Wives. And so, that's what's on the docket. Water is life. Water is life. Yeah. Gosh, I really feel that way. A, because I'm a Pisces, but also B, because I'm a human. And also, like, we're all made of like 80% water. So truly. And the thing about water is life, it means so many funny things. Like, obviously, yes, like it feeds our souls and stuff like that. But also, water is life in that we are made of water. And then also, that's why like sound and meditation and radio frequency and all those things really make sense when you think about the vibration that sound can, like vibration of sound manifests itself in water by like, those beats and like you can see ripples and stuff like that. So just by the sheer understanding that our body is made of such things, when we are, we hear certain frequencies and certain sounds, like how could we not be somewhat reactive, if not transformed by it? So water is life. Okay, so let's get into season 9, episode 10 and 11, Honey of Love is Blind. Okay, so we're going to start. And the way we start is, coming out of the cowboy, cowgirl, Western rodeo social hour of, the couples living together and obviously getting to meet all the people that they said no to and or that left them in the pods, like I mentioned earlier, Anna, or, obviously Blake doesn't come, but Sparkle gets to meet Mike and such things. So picking up, Annie and Nick talk, and they talked about kind of what's happening with what Kate grilled Nick upon, and then later told Annie. Now, Annie, after this cowboy thing, is drunk. And, it's funny because God bless her, she hasn't ever really been able to portray someone who's really put together, but in the pods she was sassier, and then out of the pods Annie never really got her footing. And it's not just the fact that she never had the wherewithal to be like, I got to get my hair done, especially if I say I'm a business owner, just because of the fact that my business is a salon and my hair looks absolutely fucking crazy and I'm on national television, but I made sure I get these eyelashes. Okay, so all of that didn't happen. And then she seemed to be completely obsessed with the idea that she had scored herself a Nick. And everyone, all the dudes who spend time with Nick are like, what, girl, what? And thank you. And the girls that are left don't care about him. And Annie has missed every red flag that we saw. Not sure in the pods. I'll never get I mean, obviously the horrible conversation about what would you do if your child was a member of the LGBT community that he asked Annie. And that she was like, oh, I would still love that kid, but I would have to tell them this is shitty for you to choose. I'm just gonna light a candle. It's gonna make me happy. And he was like, yeah, great answer. Totally. Yeah. That's totally what I would do too. Yeah. And just funny story. I was like, we know, my mom, yeah, she did the same thing where she would really hate that I was gay. So I'm totally not gay, not at all. You'll see my parents are really, really white, really waspy, really rich. So can't be gay. It's probably really conservative. But yeah, she asked me if I was gay. And I was like, bro, no. And it's totally not drowning in pussy this week, but mom always usually doing it. And so, yeah. And then Annie just let that conversation happen. Blinked with those heavy fucking eyelashes and was like, that seems normal. And then went on with her life. Okay. So when Annie saw all of this shit, when I think that Annie was happy that she for some reason had got herself a dude and he was seemingly telling her words to make it seem like he had chose or claim her, even though the words came out incredibly stilted with an energy that was, this isn't real. And with eyes kind of looking at her like I'm scared and I'm acting. And she bought it enough to be completely obsessed with it. And then again, when she went to his mountain cabin and saw that fucking car, she saw that vintage roadster and it locked her in like nobody's business. It's almost like that car locked her in where I think she was just like, he's rich. I'm done. I did it. So not the fact that he seemingly doesn't like her or doesn't know himself or is hiding some part of himself or truly, doesn't want to be there. And it's not just, again, that she missed every part of him, but she also, again, missed the energy of everyone else knowing that. But then again, yeah, I really go back to, I guess, Jordan being like, Annie's eccentric. I really want to be like, what is it like eccentric meaning? And now I'm like, does eccentric mean like kind of not sober? Not really always sober, so not with it, not present. Okay, because again, she's drunk. So she's drunk, and then basically what had happened was Nick is an asshole who had told Kate that he loved her, and then right, he didn't, right? He just wanted to pick Kate, but then Kate like didn't do what she was supposed to do, which is, buy into this bullshit. And then he got rid of Kate and then, used some bullshit excuse how she wasn't spiritual or religious enough when she had said A, that she wasn't, and B, the reason why she wasn't religious because her parent died and she was like, why God, why? Okay, so God bless. So then Nick was like, forgot that whole story. Just never cared about you and your parents. So I guess like I just didn't hear that part. I was like, really? That you didn't hear the worst part of my life that I shared with you? You didn't hear that part, Nick? Where I said I don't believe in God anymore because my parent died, and it was like, why would that pain be in this world? You think that I should just swallow that just so that what you marry a religious wife? Is that what's happening? I mean, nothing is, it's like, yeah, obviously, maybe you have to be young to hear the words that I'm using to be like, you are just trying to marry someone that you think checks certain boxes, and you are not even able to listen to the words coming out of my mouth, much less without even having to see me. I mean, you have so many less sensory moments where all you have to do is just sit there and actually listen to the words coming out of my mouth. And it's surprising how hard it is for people. And one thing it is, let's just be honest, one whole hard thing about this when these people are in the pods is that they know they're on TV. So it's like, this is one thing I'm going to give them one grace, which is that when you know you're on TV, and certainly people are not good at this, and that's what makes great TV. But when you know you're on TV, you are editing yourself. I mean, usually you like you're micro checking yourself, and we know that. Like we know that when we hear people, like use language on this show, that we're like, you never use that language in real life. Like you are not using that language a day to day, you know, in such interpersonal communication speaking ways, unless you can tell me that a whole generation was just raised by therapists and then Instagram and they all say those kind of things. But no. And then having said that, people in the pods are trying to make sure they don't come off, usually, being horrible, racist, ridiculous, dumb, homophobic. Now, they certainly do and are those things because they are, and they can't check themselves completely. But all that to say, if you're in your head about not being all those things, it's somewhat also truly difficult to be present enough to listen to what the other person is saying when you're trying to like fall in love or find your soulmate. And, you know, it's happening on the show, but you could also make a whole argument that in a way that kind of like obsessed with what's happening in your head and then not being able to listen to what's actually being said by the other entity sitting in front of you is like look low-key what happens in dating situations anyway, where you're like, does he like me? Does she like me? Am I dumb? Was that dumb? All that. And then you're not listening to the person being like, yeah, my fucking ex was so stupid. That person was stupid and dumb, and that person was stupid and dumb. Everyone's stupid and dumb except for me. You're like, oh, it's weird. You don't take any accountability. Obviously, you had to have some water. Give me a second. So here we are. Annie now is yelling at Nick drunkenly because she knows that he doesn't like her, and people told her that he said I love you to Kate, and she cannot get him to be real, and he doesn't want to be dealing with it, and he is just like, I'm here with you, I've told you I like you, what's the problem? And she's like, well, what she's not saying is that I can tell you don't, by the feeling of it. And that is enough for me, because he is like, but I don't understand, I've told you, you've asked me if I like you and I've said yes. I'm here now with you, so I don't understand. She's also drunk and he's annoyed and he doesn't like her, so it's horrible for him. Also horrible for us. He just understands, because she's brought it up, that whatever he's doing isn't enough. Because it's not, because he doesn't like her. So this like charade is, like you can see through it, and she's done with it. At one point, he says, as he's eating, he just wants to eat this chalupa and enjoy the night. And I've never felt anything more. My God, Taco Bell. I was like, Is that a familiar rapper? Because chalupas aren't always easily gettable. Like chalupas feel a little not really. Not I mean, maybe it is real Mexican food, and you can tell me if it is. I'm sure like there's versions. It's just it isn't. I don't know if it is. Maybe it's Tex-Mex, and maybe like, Colorado gets a lot of Tex-Mex. I'm just gonna say yes. So it ends horribly with her not being satisfied and him realizing that she will never be satisfied because she would have to be, in fact, loved by a man that loves her. And he can't do that, won't do that, doesn't want to. And I think as he's kind of, unfortunately, because he's really uptight and he's a little anal, and he's really OCD. I think that she is too messy for him. Like, I'm not even saying if he does, if he, she's too messy for him. Literally. Like her hair and her like drunkenness. It's just not it's just he's too wound and uptight for that. I think for enough for him to like want to deal with like a whiny drunk girl. I mean, the disdain on his face is like one of the more honest moments of him, I think. So then we go to Allie and Anton, and then she's, like looking around, the trash smells. She's trying to like put things away. We know that she, both night people, works out right after she nursing, but she comes home and they're moving her around the kitchen, and she looks in the refrigerator and she's like, "Hey, where's that 12 pack?" And Anton's like, "Bye," it's gone. And she's like, "But I only had 2." And he's like, "Yeah, and I only had 3." And then he looks at her and he's like, "You must have had it." Now, Allie can do math and she's annoyed because A, that doesn't goddamn make sense. And when you leave it like that, it feels gaslighty or it's obviously gaslighty or manipulative. It doesn't make any sense. If it's a 12 pack and I've had 2, you didn't have 3. There's no like mouse in the house that's like a fucking drunk. Like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Are we supposed to believe that people are coming to our house and just like stealing beers? Like what it is?" And you're not going to tell me I drank things and then smile and smirk at me. It's so funny. Sometimes people will do real obnoxious shit right in front of your face where there's like a smirk, and the joke is, "Can I get this passed on you? Can I get this thing pulled over and get my way where you just take it?" It's like, I'm like, that's kind of, it's like, how do I describe that? What is she supposed to do in that moment when he is like, maybe you drank it and she knows she doesn't? And I think that a lot of people in those moments, maybe this is like my a little bit like neurodivergenceness, is that it's so fucking awkward to be like, how do I move on? Am I supposed to say, "Oh, you're right, totally, I did"? Am I supposed to confront you? Because the truth, I can't move past the fact that this isn't real. Like, this is now we're in a different land. Like, it feels like when maybe this is what it is. When you're building a relationship, like step by step, it feels like you have to agree that you are being truthful and honest with each other as you build this like trust boat, that you are, reliable, that you aren't fickle, that you like aren't using each other for some ulterior motive. Like ulterior is the word. Like in the ulterior motive for sure on this show could be to be on the show and to like be famous and all of those things, right? But like, obviously in normal dating it can be like because I think you're rich, or because I think you're hot, or because, I just don't want to be alone, or, because I want to fuck you for the next 2 months. And then, I'm waiting to see if, this ex that I've always been obsessed with will listen to, that voice note I sent in a DM. Who knows? All I'm saying is that you have to move in this like really treacherous way where you're like, "This is real, right? This is real, right? We're still on board. This is real, right? You're still giving me your best. You're still giving me your honestness. You're still giving me like who I kind of like fell in love with and who I have a spark with. We're still building this thing together. Like we're connected in such a way we like have the same goal, which is to like use the next part of our lives to build our future together, as well as I assume under the guise of like healthy relationship making, that in the building of this relationship, we're also building the best version of ourselves, right? Like this always reminds me a little bit of like polygamous stuff, which is what they would say, one of the tenements I think of like wanting to be, not that I have, but because, I've watched so many sister wives of being in a polygamous household is that the multiple relationships require you to sacrifice in such a way, compromise in such a way that you become better, that you are a more like enlightened and or evolved person, blah blah blue. And I think that that's it should be that for any relationship, and any romantic relationship, like in a monogamous one too, where you build your life together, but also in that you are building your own like self in that, right? And so all that to say requires honesty. All that to say, I know it's a small moment, but this fucking moment of him looking at her, being like, you did, maybe you did. And then having to have her be like, okay, no, is horrible. So basically, then he's like, no, my friend Patrick came. Yeah, my friend Patrick came. She's like, in our apartment. And he's like, no, no, just downstairs to pick me up. And then I brought down a couple of beers. And she's like, okay, all right, cool. Oh, hey, is there any, where's that bottle of tequila? Gone. Gone. Gone, girl. No, not there. Gone. Gone. I mean, it's not there. And you can see like I don't know, almost you can see his eyes dilating, like you can see the sort of just flash that he's caught. Not only is he caught, he's caught on camera. Now we all know, and the thing about it is alcoholism is interesting because it's defined in many different ways through many different cultures. What we would consider something isn't always something to someone else. Right? Like a size 6 in America is a different size 6, honey, when you go to China. It's a horrible example. But yeah, people be drinking differently in different locales, and their idea of what a crutch is or what that is just is wildly different, like we all know what the trope of a drug addict or an alcoholic or anything of those would look like, like an alcoholic is, like unkept and messy and, like, maybe like hiccups, like, like almost like a cartoon character, like, and so to think of yourself as that when you think you're not, and you think that you just, using what you can throughout the day to live, and that everyone usually does in their own way, is a different kind of life, especially if you've grown up seeing your uncles or your dad or whoever, your mom or whatever, like come home, and or their relationship with alcohol can be different. And so his relationship with alcohol is different than hers, is what I would say. And it's an uncomfortable scene. And the truth of the matter is I have not seen them be excited or happy or sexual or turned on with each other since the pods. And the funny thing was, they were the first ones to hook up in the pods. And it wasn't like they had the strongest relationship to me. Like I would say of all the couples, that probably Sparkle, Megan, and Jordan did. And it was because they had the most, at least, easy conversation, because someone like me, Chris, would probably judge like the ideal connection. And there's so many different kinds, but I really want a connection, and my ideal connection for others is a romantic, and we're talking romantic connections, is any kind of a connection, but specifically romantic, and all the connections should have intellectual stimulation, right? Where I like the idea that like two minds play off of each other well. And I think that's like why it's fun to watch people like, like banter or, like be funny back and forth together. And also why, like, conversely, when you go to restaurants or whatever and you see couples that just sit across from each other, honey, they don't talk. It's weird. And I know that, yeah, so there's obviously other kinds of connections you can have. There's like sexual ones or whatever. But the funny thing is, well, not funny. Or okay. So there's sexual connections you can have with each other, and definitely maybe you just don't talk, you just always fuck. And I wouldn't watch that happen. Maybe like, if I was in a room and I can tell people had sexual vibes, I'd be like, great. Yeah, but it's not sustainable. And I don't think at the end it's enviable. Like, I don't think a lot of people walk around envying other people's just sexual connection relationships. Like, even the ones where I've had like a sexual connection in my relationship with, sorry, the relationships in my life that have been purely sexual are not enviable to me. And I don't want to be back in them because of only that. I think that kind of relationship where you feel like your soul is either found its mate or your mind has found like a dueling ally, or like a formidable ally kind of thing, is where you feel like you're going to move through this world, not alone. And that's like why you'd be in a relationship. Okay, all that to say, so that's why I would say of all these couples, and it's Slim Pickens, Sparkle, Megan, Jordan are the best for me going in. And then at the same time, Allie and Anton were the first, and they were like all that baby stuff. And they seem to have like some sort of like quick and easy, tropey kind of like daddy baby relationship, like it was very daddy baby. Like, and by the way, all of that has like completely fizzled. We don't see any of that. He barely calls her that. She's not really like kowtowing to him, because I think kowtowing. I use that word a lot and I don't know how to actually like say it. I got to think of a different word. Placating, submitting. She's not playing along with him because she doesn't like the person that he is. Anton isn't admirable, I think, in a stable financial enough way for her to be comfortable sitting in her femininity. Allie is someone who wants to sit comfortably, softly in her feminine spot. And sometimes the feminine spot is, going to take her to Pilates. She doesn't want to work. This is who Allie is, right? Like, I mean, God bless. So Anton is a truck driver teacher. And later on, he'll talk about his other business endeavors. But the way that he has talked about spending money and how he wants to spend money is indicative of someone who is not going to give her the life that she wants. Because even if he was like, let's go back to that ring conversation. Yeah, 5,000. Oh, babe, like it was what I could do right now, but I promise you, like, I'll give you another ring that's more expensive, when I can afford it. He never said that, knowing that she wanted a more expensive ring, right? He would, or, he was just like, oh, it should be enough. And it wasn't. Not for her. And therein lies the rub. When finding out it wasn't enough, he wasn't challenged to like give her what she wants. He was defensive that she should think it wasn't enough. And I think that was truly the moment where I was like, well, it's not going to be anything. This is not going to be anything. So here we are though. So, Sparkle gets to meet Jordan's friends' parents, and the mom seems in shock, because they haven't seen each other in a while, and I thought that was interesting. I was like, so do you not see Luca that much? Like, what's happening there? Sparkle wants to have a girl, and then his dad is named Kip and his mom is named Zan, which I was like, those are the best names, Kip and Zan. Sometimes sometimes when I do improv scenes, blah, 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 you have to like name people. There are certain things I like wish I had. And I can't wait to be like if I'm in a couple and I get to be like in my 50s, and by a couple, I mean, even I'm just like with my best friend who happens to be a girl. I like the idea like Barb, and like, I like the idea of having two names that are fun. Remember that one movie, Barb and Sal I forgot the name of it. It has Kristen Wiig in it. I love a good like two-person couple that has like fun names. Kip and Zan. Just seems like you're gonna have them over for dinner, and it's gonna be like a great dinner party. Barb and Star, something like that. You know what movie I'm talking about. Vista Del Mar. That's what it is. Thank you so much. You're like, I hate you, Chris. What are you talking about? I'm talking about this like 10-year-old Kristen Wiig film, and it really exists. So there. Yeah, Jordan is like, I like how Sparkle Megan structures her sentences. And you know what? I appreciate that. I appreciated that sentence. I like how she structures her sentences. I was like, well, how does she structure her sentences? A lot of prepositional phrases, that one. Remember like learning sentences and the way you would have to diagram them with like the noun and the subject and like, that prepositional phrase is like another like thing that comes up there. Yeah, I was like, yeah, she never does she start with like a finally, comma. Yeah, I was like, how is she like Star Wars where she puts the verb first? Your wife I am to be, No, she doesn't. But I just appreciated that sentence. And also because she likes the way his mind works, right? She thinks that he's funny. So of all the annoying things, this is it. By the way, I go back and forth of whether Jordan's a good guy or not. And I think that probably, as human beings are, there's a little bit of both. But there's been a lot of talk about him because people are like, you certainly talk about Luca a lot. But the other half of me is like, I love the fact that we never see Luca. And I love the fact that we never see Luca, like on his online or on his Instagram. He is, however, writing a children's book, because it's what we know. He hit a brand, honey. And his brand is lying about tattoos, not knowing Barada, diabetes Luca. So then Edmund and Calabria talk about, the elephant in the room. And, Calabria and I don't know why I say her name differently every time, is sad. And Edmund is sad. And basically she's mad because when they were going to go to the cowboy thing, she had asked him to run to Target to buy some accoutrements. And she knew that he was home and he was like, no, I'm going to be late. And so that was annoying. And then when he got in the car, he just acted like it was not a problem. And he apologizes, but he also is like, say something nice. Like he needs that. And then he literally with tears in his eyes is like, you've forgotten why you fell in love with me. He's said this before. There's something that is devastating to him about being abandoned, I think. And I think that, on like a very visceral level, when he is around like angry or cold energy, that isn't like he doesn't feel understood or whatnot, I think that he really shuts down. And I don't think he's able to ask for the things that he needs, which is space and time. I'm going to be honest. We don't know what he was doing when he was home. Let's just say he was home doing absolutely nothing. But let's just, on the other hand, say maybe this person is neurodivergent in some way. Maybe this person knows they're going to be on television later, and that thought alone is a lot. Maybe this person can only do what this person is doing, which is their own work, pre-work, emotional work, nervous system work, to not go into like a loud space and be running around before they have to get ready to go to this event. Like, let's just give him that compassion. I know, right, that like Edmund would not have been able to use words in a great way, because even I wouldn't be, to like tell the person that he loves, like, baby, I know you think I've just been waiting around or sitting around all day or whatnot, that I can do this thing for you. But in fact, I'm not able to do that right now because it's going to throw me off and my nervous system off in a way, and I won't be able to do what I need to do. So next time, why don't I help you more, or I'll get the things beforehand, or let's go over, what you need so I can make sure that I can help you. You're not running around, but I can't be the problem solver to last minute things and then get people upset at me if I can't, save the day. And here's the thing. I think being in a relationship is also knowing when you have to like step up and do something. And there are added expectations, if you, are like a cisgender heterosexual man, because then you definitely have to, I mean, both do. Both men and women have to step up in a lot of ways, right? But it's a no, like if you say that you want the idea of a protector or a provider, then that's someone who's going to do what that person has to do to protect or provide if you're in that kind of like lane. And Edmund has, I think, Edmund has like some ways in which he moves in this world that needs to be understood by him so that he can accurately tell people what his needs are so that people don't get upset at him when he can't provide them what they need, because his needs to him are louder. His need to stay at home and not go to Target to grab whatever she wanted was louder than her need. And she was mad that he didn't listen to her need, because his need probably sounds dumb, but isn't. Not to him. And he needs to find someone that like understands. And maybe that's going to be a hard thing, but it's not her and it's never been her. So having all of these like fight after fight moments with them is a little beating a dead horse, like it's a horrible metaphor, but in the sense of this relationship isn't healthy. So we're going to now get into more scenes of them fighting. And every time they fight and every time she's upset at him, it's kind of like, yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. What are you going to do about it? I mean, yeah. Yeah. Calabria's too hard on him. Because even we can see that he needs his needs are different than I think what she's used to. His nervous system or whatever it is, his like processing has not completely healed, I think, from some of the trauma and or some of his just like biological challenges or whatever. Like, this sounds so bad, but it's like not bad. He just needs someone not like her. She wants someone who is, firmer, stronger, and I think just has a little more of a grip on their emotional reactivity and like what they can get done effectively, I think, on her level, in her mind. Because the truth of the matter is they're on this dumbass show, right? Like, so she's gonna be mad that he's like not going to Target to buy some things. I mean, if their lives were that she worked and that he was, a little bit more of a fragile creature, which is what he is, God bless, but he could be at home and cooking or whatever. And then she comes home to like a fabulous meal and their house is cleaned and he has like, like scooted around, bopped around on blades and like, who knows? It's just not the life she wants. I think she's going to expect of him too much without being realistic about what he has provided, what he's shown that he can provide, and even the words coming out of his mouth. It's hard to like put expectations on people if they haven't expressly told you that they were going to do that. Because you can say, look, I told you I need someone that can be strong for me. It's like, yeah, you told me that. And I thought, great, because I can be strong. Not 100% of the time and not in every way that you think. But of course I think I'm strong, except that you think being strong means in this very specific way when you say so. So anyway, Madison and Joe then talk. He's going to meet her family. He's nervous. She's like, "Oh, you're nervous. Emotions are cute. I also just want to jump you and cuddle you." And he's like, "Yeah, totally want to cuddle. I like to cuddle." Madison's family meets him and they're like, "You guys are so cute." And Madison is so obsessed with the fact that everyone's like, "You guys look great together." Madison's like, "Yep, That's all I care about. Because Madison, and Annie are two birds of a feather, except that Madison has a little more wherewithal and well, actually, I don't even know. They are twinsies. And I mean that because both men, Nick and Joe, have been lying to these girls' faces. Now, Nick's energy is like, I love you. Which is like, no, you don't, right? Like, that's weird. Joe's energy is like this. Yeah, no, I totally know. Yeah, I know. I think we could get there, right? But both girls here, I love you so much. You are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I want you in my world forever. My God, my princess, my queen forever. Like, that's what they hear from both of those people. But we saw both those people say those things. And that's not what they said nor how they said it. But here we are. So Madison is like, letting her mom and letting her, sister and her sister's friend, like, really buy that Joe's into this or whatever. But a great moment happens. So, as they're talking, we get Joe's backstory, right? Which is Joe was engaged. He was engaged and he broke off his wedding like runaway bride, honey, like Julia Roberts. He was just like, last minute, absolutely fucking not. I cannot do it. And so he, feels bad, but he like had everything printed up, like the invitations, and he was just like, yeah, I just couldn't tell her. I just couldn't face it. So I just, put my little penis between my legs and I just last minute ruined everything. Like, that's what he says. God bless. Who knows how much money they had spent? Who knows where that girl was at her wedding? We never talk about it, but can you imagine? I wish it would be in the tell-all to be like, I want her to be like, yeah, all of my friends had their custom bridesmaid dresses already done. My dress was already done. We had a we had a non-refundable deposit on our honeymoon. Like, to have this asshole really like tell what happened. Now, Madison's mom hears that and is like, huh, well, you won't do that to my Madison, will you? He's like, no, I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, like, no, I wouldn't. Why would I? It's like, I wouldn't. I probably would not gonna. Anyway, it's so great. It's really great, right? Because we have eyes. We've been seeing what's happening, and we've just been waiting for anyone else to like say something, and Madison's mom at least has like wherewithal to be like, that seems suspect, Madison's like, no, it's not. I'm just going to go sit at a different table and wait for you guys to come move to where I am. She's just so crazy. So, basically then the next scene is Anton and Allie meet Anton's mom, Natalia. And, they're making a little breakfast. It ends up being like croissants with what looks like ham and then mayonnaise. Not mayonnaise they've added, but Miracle Whip. They use Miracle Whip. I don't know who uses Miracle Whip. I don't know if it was like production that bought Miracle Whip or if Allie and Anton was like, make sure there's no mayonnaise. Just the first thing is make sure there's absolutely no mayonnaise. Miracle Whip is so weird. It is. What is it? Like, what it, like, it's not mayonnaise, obviously. Like, what is it? It's just such a disgusting name. And even the name, like even the word whip, when you actually think about what has to happen, whip, like what actually has to happen for that sound to happen is one thing. But also, what a horrible taste. And anyone who picks it, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, it's not a great choice. And I really wish you would consider different choices in your life. It's one of the reasons why I think Allie is like, steering the ship wrong. So they do have a beautiful like cut up fruit display, and Natalia really likes that. Then we have Nick and Annie talking, and this is the morning after the drunken tirade after the cowboy thing where Annie was like, I just really love you. I just love you so much. You don't even know, Nick. I love you. I just love you. Won't you love me? And he's like, I do love you. And she's like, but I can't. And she knows he doesn't. So anyway, God bless. So the morning after, she's sober, hair still the same way. And he is like, last night, yeah, wasn't great. It was a breaking point. I cannot stand when you put words in my mouth. He goes out on that and he's just like, I don't want to be with you. She takes it well. Totally takes it well. Understands, patient. Is like, yeah, I saw this coming. Thank you so much for being the first. The only real person. Took a lot of bravery, took a lot of courage. Production, thank you so much for this journey. Nope, that's not what happens. I'm joking. She loses her mind. She's like so upset. She's trying to beg and bargain and guilt him. She's like, I trying. Why won't you even like try? It's also interesting because, okay, if I have to 100% believe this is real, then I just cannot understand a world in which I would either beg, bargain, shame, or guilt, or not allow someone to leave me. I think I have such ego or pride like that. I'd be like, great, bye. I'm a little cold. Like, I think I'm a little like that. Like, I am not the kind of person to be like, what? No, please think differently. I'll change. But that's not what she did. Like, I won't be like, please, like, but you told me this, or why won't you try? Like, I would, it's not, I think that, yeah, I think that there's something that happens where I'll like just put a guillotine down. It's like off with her head, honey. And it's done. But yeah, she is just screaming at him, Nick, Nick. And then she's mad at him. She said she wasted her time. And I want to be like, well, if that's what your problem is, you should be happy he's breaking up with you now. You didn't waste your time, bitch. It's what been us 2 weeks. And also, you were on this production. So at least the first week you were going to already be here anyway. What is he wasted 7 days? Also, girl, no one else. Well, I guess Brendan. And maybe she was like, she should have been like, I could have been with Brendan. He would have allowed me the red door. I knew that dream of him and the red door was supposed to be the real dream and not this bullshit with you and your dumb vintage car and all your weird snow sport equipment and that thing you built in the corner, porn. It's your OA porn corner. I mean, that you built, but anyway, God bless. So she's, obviously very upset and she goes through the ringer, like I said, and all of it doesn't make sense for what her end goal is. Cause I guess in my mind, it's like, okay, let me just say this. If your end goal is just to be in a relationship, then you'll do whatever it takes to be in a relationship, right? And so you have no shame in the sense that you'll just beg, plead, guilt, whatever it takes, because if that person says yes, then you win. But then your relationship, in my knowledge, can't possibly be good, but that's not the goal. The goal isn't to be in a healthy relationship. The goal is to be in a relationship. And so, so nope. I feel like I wonder in this moment. It's so funny because, yeah, she starts like texting someone immediately because she's so pissed about what's happening. And I want to be like, well, I'm sure he's texting someone too. I'm sure he's texting his mom and being like, Mom, don't worry. I broke up with her. I know I can't be with anyone that would have those roots. I know, Mom, I'm sorry. I thought so too, Mom. I didn't see the roots. That was the thing about Love is Blind. We're root blind until I saw them, Mom. And when I saw Kate, I realized, no, that was a blended blonde. She blends. She blends it well. I can't tell that Kate, and she knows, So, yeah, everything that she said was so crazy. Annie's fucking crazy. You're Nick D'Amato. So why fuck this up? Like, there was a part of her yelling at him that I wanted to be like, is it that you think, okay, is it that you think that you are also his only choice? Do you know that he's gay and weird and not gay? He can be, perhaps. And I'm saying I don't want to like out someone. It's not that I'm trying to talk about someone's sexuality. And if it wasn't for this fact that he had what is a very homophobic, transphobic conversation in the pods, which we all know I'm referencing, I would never discuss someone so openly and openly about someone's sexuality and therefore what this person is into. But that conversation obviously was so horrible and weird and indicative. And if he's not gay, there is a veneer of a fakeness that I can't quite penetrate that makes you believe that he's fucking lying about stuff. Okay. So if he's lying about stuff, why doesn't she know that? And if she does know that, she still wants to be in a relationship with him. And there's a part of her that knows she's playing a part in that. And that part he shouldn't give up because it'd be bad for him. Like, if you are Annie and you think that Nick is straight and 100% real and that he's just like some, let's just say hot, white, rich guy, then why won't he just get someone else? Like, he could. He doesn't need to, he's not fucking things up by getting rid of you. He's very young. We can assume that he can get someone else. But you and me and everyone else knows that there's probably that there's a weird energy that he has, right? And we just don't know what that energy is. And we think that maybe now I'm like, does Annie know that she's maybe is a foil to that energy? She's like, don't fuck this up. I get to be the reason why your mom won't ask you that question anymore that she asked you when you were in high school. Forever now, I'm the solution to that question because I'll be there. That's what I felt like in a very heady way is why she said, why fuck this up? Because the other thing is that she really thinks this relationship is so great, so perfect. When it's like, they didn't do anything he likes together. He showed you his cabin and then you made him come fix things in your salon and then you've just kind of been annoyed at him. And you can feel he doesn't enjoy your presence. You don't do fun things together. So what is he fucking up exactly? This like cold, weird relationship with you where I don't know. So, she's crying, obviously. And he says things like, your love for me feels so real sometimes, so deep, and sometimes so shallow. Which I thought was kind of like an interesting way to throw back on her. Like, because she really is I love you so much, but also screaming at him and being mean to him. And so he's saying this, like, if you love me so much, you would just like not be such a fucking crazy bitch in my face because right now you seem really shallow. So basically that's how that ends, with another one bites the dust. And we certainly saw it coming. And, I'll tell you what hopefully saw Annie coming, which was a goddamn salon chair and some fucking foils. She needs to get her head on straight, honey. She needs to she needs to get back to her roots. She needs to touch grass, honey. I don't know. We need to get back to what's real. This person didn't like you, and I'm sorry if you didn't quite know it, but how can we in the future breathe into the present moment, listen to what people are saying, how they're saying it, the stories they're telling you, how everyone else treats this person, how this person treats everyone else, and then really be like, am I in love with this person? And is this person in love with me? And is this a good idea? So, yeah, that has had so many lines. I know I have to move on, but just, you can't tell me to stand up there and marry you, which was true when she was yelling at him. Like, what do you think that he's going to do? Just be talked into this by you on camera. And then everyone knows that he just got bullied by you at one point and this is supposed to be you sober right now to be back in a relationship with you. Could you imagine a world in which the entirety of America watched you bully your significant other who tried to break up with you to be in a relationship with you? And then what, you get back together and then we're all supposed to be like, yeah, looks good. But maybe she sees that shit all the time. Maybe she's like, that's what relationships are. People always threaten to leave and say how they're not really into each other. And then, someone yells at them to come back and then they realize they have no other options and they're going to settle in that very moment. It happens every night in my parents' house. I mean, I don't know. It's horrible. I don't understand relationships. I know half of me is sitting up here being like, this seems crazy and that seems crazy. And half of me is like, I understand that I'm judgmental, but the other half of me really wants to tell you it isn't like I know the answer. Because I mean, you can be like, yeah, that's what happens. That's just a dramatic person in a relationship who thinks that they know what's better. And most of the time it works, and only tonight it didn't for her. Ah, okay. So then guess what? Edmund and Calabria do their wedding licenses online. That looks good. That looks what a great scene. Mhm. Then they all go dress shopping. At the dress shopping, we get revealed that Sparkle Megan has met Luca, and she calls him the smartest, cutest 5-year-old ever. He was really lovely. Vanessa Lachey, comes back. She's wearing this like wild short jean mini skirt with like a dramatic rose. I don't not like it, but it caught, it was also kind of like indicative of that one Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, like jean couple outfit where like everything is jean, where so many things are jean. It felt like maybe like a Project Runway task or something. So all the girls try on the dresses, and I thought about like whether it'd be fun to go through every picture with you guys, but the truth of the matter is I don't know. I don't think it's that fun. I mean, I think I'm gonna do this. I'll go back and take pictures and I'll put it on my Instagram and we can talk about it then. But basically every girl picks outfit number 2. Everyone. We know how it works where it's like they don't have all the options. Like they probably just get their measurements or whatever. And obviously some dresses, these are the try-on dresses, so they are obviously not made to fit them. They, I think, maybe get their choice of a couple to try on and that's it. That's the weirdest part about this show. I was just like, how are you supposed to get married? I guess everything is your only option. I guess being on this show is like, I don't want to have any more options. So just from the 5 you have, I'll pick one of the 5 men and I'll pick one of the 3 dresses. It'll make my life easier to not have to pick. I'm done. I don't even trust my picking. And whatever it is will work out. There's another whole thing about marriages and where, like, okay, there's one ultra romantic way of being like, I'm going to find my person, my soulmate, the love of my life. That's my everything, my person. We're going to do all this together, right? And is there another side where it's just like, I'm going to find someone that's nice and make it work? And if it works, that's great. And if it doesn't work, then, we'll figure that out when that comes. Like, and so if that is it, then you can tell me that that's like where Annie was, where she's like, I just decided that this person was my person because this person was in front of me and one of the 5 the casting picked, so maybe that's what it is. It's so hard to think about living the rest of your life with someone and then just choosing and settling. And it's hard because upon each choice, you end up being a murderer, kind of like there's a great quote, which I'm not great at remembering quotes, but every choice is a murder. You become a murderer of all the other options, of all the other, choices. Because you're supposed to just, 10 toes down, be like, well, this is the one. And it's a hard thing to think about when you're dating, that the minute that you make a choice that this is my person, you effectively kill all the other soulmates that you could have been introduced to in the near next moment. And it's sort of the scariest thought ever. Anyway, so of course, while the girls are dress shopping, the guys are suit shopping. And it's, I don't know, like, I think we're supposed to care about this part because I think that we're supposed to like meet all the people and stuff like that. But we don't care about their people because we've never heard their names and we don't get a lot of like fun times with them. I think I would care more about people's friends if like they were always the friends that we knew from each scene, and like there was more of like either a FaceTime and or social interaction with them. But like, it's just, there's so many things that happen during the dress shopping and suit shopping where you're trying on things, where we're coming to a head of certain things, where there's drama, but we're also being introduced to people's like loved ones. Anyway, so however, what is important as is that Joe has friends here, and Joe's friends are asking him questions. And Joe, just like he's a dodger of questions with Madison, you see him, well, I mean, he starts to put on his Pumas and he starts to just physically and mentally leave this situation behind. Joe, I mean, maybe like hearing Madison's mom's words in his head, like, you're not going to do that to my Madison. You're not going to do that to my Madison, to my Madison, to my Madison. Like, he is just like, I cannot, I will not. He is like, I have to go. And people are like, to the bathroom, sir? He's like, no. He gets out of filming. Jordan looks at it and he's like, that's bad. Jordan isn't like, dude, what's up? You can't, what's happening, man? You're having second thoughts about Matt. Like, he's not like that. You know, Jordan is like, I could have told you. You know, the funny thing is Jordan and Joe are friends. We've known that, right? We've seen them interact. And you know, Jordan and Joe are funny people and somewhat truthful to camera. Like they aren't always truthful to maybe their partners, but when I say to camera, I mean most parts to producers and in confessionals, those men are like, you know, truthful. Jordan's like, it's bad. Jordan does not go to comfort him. No one does. Joe gets in his fucking truck and leaves. And that's the last of Joe, honey. Joe, I mean, not the last of Joe, but that's at the suit. We actually do, of course, have another scene, which can happen in the next episode 11. So, but we've, you know, obviously, as I've mentioned, Madison and Nanny had a lot of similarities. And so it makes sense that, you know, no one's really sticking around. These relationships are not it. So Jordan and Sparkle go to like a tarot card reading, and that tarot card person is like, you guys are soulmates. Those are the cups. Honey, your cup filleth over with all of your soulmatiness. You did it. You win. You got it. And they're like, great. Joe obviously left. Madison is calling to like talk to someone, but then he comes home during that time and he's just like, I had a fucking total goddamn breakdown. And he's like, but he had texted her this, that before they have a meetup, she already knows that he had a total panic breakdown at the suit and that she is not his person, which for her, I think was actually great that she got a moment to like hear all that and settle with it, even though, you know, it's not fun to watch the next scene of him breaking up with her or whatnot. But obviously, let me say this, it would be absolutely great TV to watch Madison in real time hear that. But since we had already had that scene this episode, like, did I need it again? Not really. So I'm happy. I'm actually happy what happened. So Madison handles this much better than Annie. So again, Joe comes home and he really doesn't have a lot of emotion. He doesn't really care, you know, because he really didn't care about her. Like, for some reason, they did have like, well, for her, great sex. He never said they had great sex. He says that they enjoy cuddling. Which anytime, like when she said cuddle, I always meant with his penis inside you. Like cuddle, like sex. Like I feel like cuddling is your word for sex. Inside each other. Cuddling her inner walls. Gross, but you know, I'm just saying. So basically, he says he's just feeling major amounts of relief just to have the weight of this not right relationship off of his shoulders. At one point, he hugs her and she is hyperventilating, crying. And he looks right at camera like, is this almost over? And also, do you guys have to see what I'm doing right now? What the saint I am? You know, there's always this, this idea of like, well, before you leave the reality show, at least confront the person that you've been like pretending to be in a romantic relationship with. Like, I feel like this moment happens a lot on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. where someone wants to leave, right? I mean, usually it's like if it's the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, often it's like a contestant, right? Who wants to leave, and then either by producers or whatnot, or just by the like integrity of the show, they feel or forced to then confront the person and be like, I just can't do it, or you're not for me, or this a different place and time, or who knows, whatnot. And he's just like, it's not right. And she's like, how do you know? And he's like, I just don't want to answer that. Because it's like, I was never really attracted to you, and I don't really want to have to deal with the blind stuff. It was really intense, and you seem to be really like a little needy, like you seem to be a lot emotional neediness, and I just don't know if I'm as invested in you enough to deal with the emotional neediness. And I say that out loud as someone who I'm sure was emotionally needy to men who just weren't that interested. But here is the thing. I think that there is like this perfect balance that happens. I think that sometimes people can be emotionally needy to people who they are needing more validation from, because guess what? That person isn't as invested as them, but their heart, body, soul knows it. And so they're asking questions like, why aren't you? You seem to sometimes, but it's not. And so that is coming across as needy as they are problem solving what seems to be like a relationship that's doesn't feel right. And I think that this emotionally needy person might not be as needy if they were in a relationship with someone who seemingly was more invested and therefore felt more validating and therefore felt safer. And therefore, they wouldn't need to ask questions or be inquisitive in such a way. And there would be able to just be like a little more of a comfortability. So I think that it sort of balances each other out, you know? Um, oh, I love you. um, basically, yeah, they break up, and she does the thing that Annie doesn't do, which is that she fakes him. She actually is like, she doesn't say this. She doesn't say you're an asshole and a weirdo and a bro and you don't even deserve this because you have no emotional maturity. And she also doesn't say, and I haven't displayed all of it as well, but she really does, I think, give us one of the better moments where she's like, thank you for being on this journey with me. You know, I appreciate it. And even if I'm mad at you now, like I'm going to have wanted to say this. And I love that for Madison. It's like one of the best parts of, or one of the more, emotionally mature parts I've seen of someone display on this. Yeah, and I'm happy it's for Madison. I'm happy. So then we get Edmund and Calabria going jet skiing. She's the one that's driving. He's like holding on for dear life behind her. He's like sitting back there like a baby, honey. It's 4 days to the wedding. And then they get off, and guess what? They got in a fight. They get in a fight because he was annoying to her, and then she feels like a couple of times they've been not talking, and in the minute that the cameras roll, he turns it on. When she said that, I was like shocked. I was like, oh, ooh, honey. Yeah, she feels like he doesn't listen to her, that he doesn't take accountability, that he doesn't say sorry enough or the way that she does. And or in this moment, what ends up happening is a story like production's talking to him about his bachelor party and say something to him, and he's answering back to them about something that's a problem, and she's like talking to him like, but baby, da 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 da, and he shuts her down in some way, says, don't talk to me, or I'm talking right now, or puts his hand up and to have a conversation with the producers. And this really upset her. This is what they're like fighting about. And he wants to be like, this is what I think. He wants to be like this. I don't think I should have to apologize for that, because I was having a conversation with production and you interrupted my conversations to start talking to me, and it wasn't about you. It was about what I wanted. But he doesn't. And it becomes this back and forth of like, you interrupt me, you interrupt me, you interrupt me, you're interrupting me. How dare you? And she at one point calls him a bitch. At that point, honey, I thought it was done. I thought it was done on this mountain. Very beautiful mountain, gorgeous view. I mean, I was like, let's get these people off of this mountain. I didn't think it was going to end well, honey. Yeah, but then, God bless, that happens. And then Allie and Anton go into their little like snow adventure. And we're supposed to believe that any of these snow adventures are romantic or great. They're not. She's in heels. It's almost as if she didn't know what they were doing that day. And he has to like somewhat help her. They have a very awkward conversation where she basically, I think, says this: hey, it's just like, yeah, it's a fine line between like, okay, let me go back. So sorry. He's like, Allie, one thing about me and you is just that we're so similar. It's almost like we're fucking twins. He's like, we're just so similar. Can you believe it? Do you think that we're twins? I don't think no. No, she goes to the gym after she works. The only thing you guys have in common is that you both work at night. Oh, and also I guess English is a separate language, but not even the same language as your first language. I don't think you're twins. I think there's probably a lot of people that like speak multiple languages and work at night. I mean, God bless. I did one of those things at one point in my life. Okay. So that's not true. And she's like, but she says yes. And we're like, okay, except for the alcoholism, right, Allie? Okay. But then she says, and this is what I was going to bring up. It's just really weird sometimes, like, because it's a line between when you're supposed to just, and this is kind of what I was saying, settle to be like, this is the one, and when you're supposed to realize that someone isn't great for you and you're supposed to move on because there's better fishies in the sea and you deserve more. Like, and he's like, no, you don't deserve more. There's no more fishies. It's me. Me, your big twin fishy. Your big tequila guzzling twin. No, just settle with me. Just like, yeah, this is it. I'm good. No, I mean, this is. Did you also wonder why they met his mom and it took a long time for him to meet her mom? It's always weird, like when they meet everyone. It almost feels like they should just have like, why is it all separate? Like maybe meet everyone at the same time. I don't know. He really, at this point, Anton seemingly wants to be married to Allie. Allie does not want to be married to Anton. And Allie has tiptoed and danced around the things that we have learned about Anton. We had a whole meal where Anton's friends and Anton's friend's girlfriend told Allie that he is a big time partier, and he was the one that told Allie that he wasn't. And then since then, we've now had a full drinking scene, and Allie hasn't been like, "Hey, your friend told me that you go out and party." And then I know that there's no more tequila in our goddamn refrigerator. And then when we had bought a 12 pack, you tried to make me think that I had in a stupor drank them when we both know that stupor was yours. So let's be real. Like none of that's happened. Not even a little bit of it. So now having this conversation with them, like out in the snow, about her not knowing whether they're right or not, seems like they're not having the actual conversation. Why isn't she having like a real heart to heart with the man she's supposed to try and get married to? Like if he's a fucking alcoholic partier. He's like, he knows it's like a problem to her, and she doesn't want to make him feel bad, but it's not just the alcohol. It's the fact that he lied and seemingly isn't portraying his life the way that it actually is. Because certainly when they're having Miracle Whip croissant sandwiches, his mother is like, "Oh, 2 years ago he really buckled down. And now he's real serious about this family shit, but he wasn't serious before." You're like, Allie at some point has to like say something of value, but she doesn't. She doesn't. I also want to know a little more about why her sisters and her hate each other. Sorry, come again? Why do your sisters hate you? Why do you hate your sisters? The mom is a little like vague about it. The mom is walking a tightrope. I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know what it is, but I needed a little more. Because yeah, she has that one friend they used to be best friends with, and like, they were like freaking frack, honey. And yeah, Allie's a very young girl, not to have anyone in her life like want to show up for her trying on dresses. And it doesn't make me like, yeah, it makes me sad for Allie. Okay. Then Edmund and Calabria go on rollerblades. He loves those rollerblades, honey. It is so scary to watch someone like do flips and or like rollerblades are like scary looking to me. I fractured a wrist rollerblading once. I fractured a wrist, my left wrist. I put rollerblades on and then I just went down a driveway. Not a very steep driveway, a very normal, almost flat driveway. And then when I hit that lip, I didn't stay upright. Not at all. I fell, I rolled in my wrist, and then my dad had to take me to the urgent care. And they put like one of them short, casks on me, and then just like I think that when you there's this certain like if you had a cast, especially in the 90s, no matter what you did, like it gets a smell. It can't not just because like you can't, your skin's it's there. I'll never forget that smell. Cast smell. Ugh. It was so great when you like got it off. I remember how like weird your skin felt. Jesus. Okay. Then Sparkle, Megan, and Jordan talk. And it's not a good talk because she loves when she gets to have her little fool dance for her. Sparkle Megan had two options in the pod. Sparkle Megan could either be the weird trophy wife of a kind of gross man like Mike, or she decided to be the queen of Jordan's world and like he's her little like fool that she gets to, have entertain her. Like it feels like the the dynamic, right? Um Jordan works. So I'm so sorry. I think I thought he worked at a bar at one time, and no, he works like in sales. He's a sales manager. So that makes a little more sense. I only brought that up because I really thought I was like, why can you be in the hospitality industry and not know what burrata is? And now I understand he's not in that industry, my love. He's in that. And so he, has his kid and he has his job. And when he comes home, yeah, sometimes he needs to like take a break from the talking. But she doesn't have a full-time job. And her job is definitely not serving people and having to say yes to people and having to cater to people. And I think that that is what it is. Like, I've definitely, as you know, well, maybe not, just so you know, spoiler alert, actor worked at restaurants, right? Mildly famous for my work at Real Food Daily / my work with Ellen DeGeneres. Look it up. But all that to say, when you are someone in the service industry, the talking that you're doing throughout the day is a lot. And it's in this tone, right? It's a forced tone. You are being forced to talk and interact with people with energy that makes them feel good no matter what you're feeling. No matter what. When you are in the service industry and you have, or sales like that, if you are talking to a customer, you're like, hey, how are you? Totally. Yeah, no, if you want that, I can get it for you. What time do you need it? Yeah, bud, sure. Like that's just the way you have to be because people want to have like nice, friendly people. They don't want, yeah, what? Sure. Thanks. You know that, especially if you're someone who's gregarious, right? And so to get good at your job and to make sure that you get really good at that kind of like interaction for your behalf. I'm interacting with you and giving you a lot of energy for you. And you are definitely not having to worry about what's happening with me. So that sometimes when you fucking get home, you need to just remember what it's like to express and share from a place of not service. Just from a fucking place of your own point of view. Where you're talking not to make small talk, you're not talking to listen to the sound of your voice. And it's hard because Sparkle Megan then wants him to talk for her benefit. She wants him to come home and entertain her with his revelry, with his stories of his day. She wants a storyteller comic to come home and entertain her / flirt with her and be funny. And it's a really weird thing to be like, do you see that that's selfish? I'm not saying it's 100% selfish all the time, but do you see how that need, specifically for someone who has done like that kind of work all day, who has now come home, do you see how that is a selfish need on your part? Because you think it's easy and you are not taking into account the energy that person has put out the entire day. I mean, I fucking hear Jordan. He's like, sometimes I just want to put on a movie and chill. It's like, I'd have to see. I think that she's probably too much. Like, I think that she probably is being annoying. And probably he also is, in turn, doing less to try and passively aggressively get her to be like, to know, to get her to be on board. You know? She just doesn't get it. She's like, but in the pods, we talked. He's like, we're not in the pods. I have a kid. I worked all day. She's like, yeah, but I went to Pilates. I want to tell you about my Pilates. He's like, fuck, great bitch. Great. I'm so happy about your Pilates. Like, this is not going to work. He's going to resent her. He already does. And she is already resenting him. She actually said, well, okay, first of all, when she talks to him about the fact that first of all, let me go this. She's like, you're tired all the time. And he's like, well, it feels like you are abrasive. You even brought that up abrasively. And she's like, well, how do you want me to bring it up? He's like, well, not meanly and not accusatorily, maybe from a place of, hey, babe, I can really tell that you come home tired. Is there something I can do when you first get home to kind of like allow you some space so that you can re-energize so that we can connect later? Like, that's what she wants, but she doesn't say it that way. Yeah. She says that she wants to work, she wants to talk, she wants to play tennis, and then go to LA, and then just like fly to Aspen with her friends, and then come back to Colorado and go to happy hour and then talk to him. What's wrong with that? He's like, bitch, I have a fucking kid. I'm not going to Aspen. You're like, I want to go to Italy. Which, by the way, Mike said he's heard great things. I'm not going to Italy right now. I have a diabetic kid. It's not fun for, Now, I want her to be like, we don't have to go with him. But she doesn't say that. He very much makes it seem like she is not ready to be a mother and does not have an accurate understanding of what it's like for her to compromise her daily schedule to be a mom. And I definitely don't think she does. And maybe that's part of her being like, well, I thought I was going to be able to learn a little bit of that when I was living with Luca, for obviously Luca not to live with them. And I also then think that that was probably a dumb goal. And then I also kind of think that maybe parents of kids shouldn't be on the show. Or conversely, there could be a whole Love is Blind of single parents, and then the kid part is so built in that it's like somehow healthy for everyone involved, while also not taking advantage of the kids by putting them on TV. I don't know what the answer is. I can't tell you. I'm no TV exec, though I would like to be. How much tennis does she play? I just love the idea of her just like from LA to Aspen, just like on JSX, honey, just like flying. Sparkle Megan. I'm happy for her and her numerology and her homes and how much money she made. It's just that she talks so much about her material stuff in her life that I just have to say this. We didn't like Mike, right? Sparkle Megan surely talked about how much money she had and a lot. She continually was like, I don't want people to judge me, yet like would then be like, I bought my own house and what kind of car do I drive? And my name is Sparkle Megan. It's definitely not like normal rigmarole girl next door Megan, like Sparkle is indicative of luxury. So it was a little LOL for her to be like, I don't want people to judge me. Also, I'm Sparkle Megan. All of that funny. But at the same time, let's be honest, it is vapid for anyone to talk about money or how much money they had or how much money they made or how jet setty their life is, period. And I know that like maybe that's part of her personality and they're telling her to like play it up at the same time. It's funny because yeah, this ends with him being like, "Well, you should have picked someone else." And I really yeah, I think that she should have picked Mike. And I don't think Mike's a great guy, but I don't necessarily think that she's a great girl. And by great, I mean, I think that their priorities might align, which is that I think that they are really hardcore into being perceived as being successful. It's hard. Like, I'm not financially successful, but I operate under privilege because, I think my dad is financially stable. So, I mean, like, I can kind of like see it, but, but all that to say, it's like, I think that sometimes, if I was to be honest with you, there were times in my life where like I was somewhat embarrassed by those kinds of things sometimes. So it's always somewhat interesting when I see people who talk about it a lot in a way that I feel like they want people to know about it. Yeah, like she should have been with Mike because Mike and her have such a similar vibe. And even if he is manipulative and weird, so is she. And I think that you can't, like she wanted she wants a Mike that's funny. And she got Jordan. And Jordan is only funny sometimes because like not everyone is one thing all the time, So it's like I think she's a little bit one-dimensional in her idea of people and things. And I think maybe we all are. It's hard to find someone that like is a Rubik's cube that like sort of is aligned in every way, you know? And certainly there's like the parts of people that can kind of be massaged, like, like a Rubik's cube, or maybe you can like move one thing over and suddenly you do have a line of all red. But like, how do you know? Yeah, I go back to Allie. Like, how do you know if someone is it or not? Jordan and Sparkle Megan are the strongest couple on the show. And it's wild to say that because no one feels like they're great for each other. Besides their like somewhat witty banter and the fact that her dad had diabetes, they don't have a lot in common. A lot of people are funny. God bless a lot. Diabetes is unfortunately a common thing. I don't know. So, as we have the weddings coming up and we lost two couples. So it's basically Allie and Anton, Sparkle, Megan, and Jordan, and Calabria and Edmund. Calabria and Edmund can't possibly be together. No, they're not going to make it. Not at all. I swear to God. If I could bet anything, I would. If I had, I wish I can't bet you, but yes, there's no way. Allie and Anton, she doesn't like him. There's not a chance. Like Allie's hot, so there's gonna already be dudes sliding into her DMs. And the bad thing, and then, Anton is not good looking. Truly, he isn't. He's just not. He's not what she wants. The funny thing is, Sparkle Megan doesn't want money. I think that it's just that she wants someone to live the way she wants to live, which is this like highfalutin jet setter life a little bit. She says it. I think, yeah, she wants to look good. It's funny to me that they kept saying that they coordinate their outfits. I'm like, so she does. I think that there's a part of Sparkle Megan that would like an Instagram boyfriend, someone who's gonna like show up, look hot with tat sleeves, like be down for whatever, and like wherever they are, they're having fun because their personalities are fun together. Like, I think that that's what she like wants, like is a kind of like partner in crime in that way. And I think that what he's saying is that I have a child. So this isn't like you're not casting me in the role that you have written in your life. I'm a whole ass person with my own story. So it's not jumping around America. So I wonder if because this whole last conversation as I end this episode, like she really is like staring at him, like bewildered by this. But I sometimes also wonder if she's like letting it hit her. Anyway, that was the end of the episode pretty much. We're going to obviously find out what happens. But to me, I think there's a possibility that Sparkle Megan and Jordan will get married, at least so they can, make it to the tell-all. But I cannot imagine Calabria and Edmund will. And I don't know about Allie and Anton because I think they're kind of like wishy-washy beige people. She might say yes just to get to the tell-all and at this point, honestly, I don't even believe the producers wouldn't do something to make sure that this season has something happen, like marriage-wise. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the producers will be like, look, we don't give a fuck. They all can go to the altar and then say no. And then the whole tell will happen with a bunch of no's. With 3 no's that happened at the altar and 17 no's that happened throughout the show, from the pods to people leaving to people being like, not for me. This was the season of no. My name is Chris Farah, Chris L. Farah on all of your social medias. I am on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Substack. Of course, YouTube exists. If you haven't yet, please like this video. Please comment when it goes up. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell. I'm also on Facebook. I have a page, Chris Farah, also a group, Vanity Farah. I always post on Vanity Farah before I go live. I mean, sometimes I give you like days in advance. I try and help. Sunday night now, we're going to go into this week, my loves. We're going to talk about Sister Wives on Tuesday. And I think we're talking about 90 Day Fiancé Tuesday. And I believe we're talking about Sister Wives, but we also could be talking, I'm like, what's better? I think, is it all better to do it all at one time? Maybe we'll do Sister Wives on Tuesday too. So go to those places and I'll put up a scooge wall. What did you guys think? Thank you for liking my tangents. Thank you for liking my snorts. That's how I broke my wrist roller skating down a driveway twice to catch myself. Broke both wrists and broke both bones in my right wrist. Broke both bones. That's a good tongue twister. Broke both bones. Yeah, I mean, I do snort. I'm not an athletic person. I'm not super coordinated. I don't always feel great in my body. I love the way I look in my body, but I don't feel great in the feeling of myself in my body. I don't always feel like I have control over all of my like limbs. I only say that like maybe if I was a shorter, smaller, compact person, maybe like a point guard person, maybe someone who did gymnastics or a dancer, I'd be more in tune and can be like, oh, I know exactly that if I flex this muscle, I can jump here or do that. I've just never been that kind of person. Anyway, yeah, I fall all the time. I fall all the time. Always been falling, stay falling, embarrassing. I mean, and now that I've gotten older, my skin gets thinner. This is like the worst. And I bruise all the time. I mean, it's sad. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, that Hawaiian dude. You were lovely this whole time. You were so fun. Um, Obviously, I love you so much, Shay. So yeah, my pets, that's on the agenda. Thank you so much for being with me. I hope you guys are gonna have a good Sunday, and wherever you are, obviously, I hope you have like a really fun and or relaxing, festive, safe October. Um, I ended up shooting a short film yesterday with some friends, including Matt Maher of Reality Gaze. So I wasn't able to join in any protests, but certainly in spirit. So yeah, love you guys. Thank you so much. Hang around. Happy birthday. Yeah, that's great. Libra. It's so funny. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends that have birthdays right now. Like the Libra Scorpio cusp. Lots. Well, I hope you're having what are you gonna do? Are you having fun? I guess tomorrow's a Monday, so maybe do something fun today. Or are you gonna wait till next weekend? I'll be in New York next weekend. So I'll be doing something fun for your birthday. But if you're in New York, I think I'm gonna go see Messy White Gaze, which is Drew Droge's. It's a very fun, very funny play. Very great title. Drew Droge's play that he wrote, and my friend Pete Zayas and Drew are in it. It's an off-Broadway piece. Very New York, very, very specifically about New York white gaze. And it's kind of very cynical and very, very dark. Are you doing any shows soon? Yes, I'm going to bring back and do Lebanese Debutante. I don't know exactly when, but right now I'm doing the improv program at a theater in LA called Groundlings. So it's I have to I'm dived back into a heavy improv world. So all that to say, that's the reason why I haven't been doing any a lot of scripted stuff. I have a class show of Improv Lab coming up November 4th. And then just getting back into that style of performance, a very present moment listening, all the stuff I was kind of maybe obsessively talking about because you forget how to do it. Oh, I want to fly down to see Lebanese Debutante. Oh, I love you. Gosh, I wish I could just bring it to you. I want to do it again. I am going to do it again. And then hopefully be able to do it in some spots. But basically when you're in these improv courses, you have to go through them and they have the class shows and the Groundlings program, which is this is heady shit, or this is dumb improv nerd shit, is one of the major comedy schools in Los Angeles. And I'm this is my first time I get to do a class show, which is exciting for me. So, but yeah, I'm in a lot of classes just to get good at this very specific short form and or Groundlings, which is character and relationship based comedy, which I really love, as opposed to game, which is, I guess, what I had studied previously, long form at Upright Citizens Brigade. And so these are all entryways into scene building work, which is so funny because it's, going back to this long ass, this is going to be a long ass live. I realize this now. But going back to what I was talking about, of Allie and Anton, right? 3 hours ago when they're talking about the alcohol and she's and he's lying to her and he's like, no, you must have drank it. And she's staring at him in that moment. And I guess, yeah, it reminds me of being in a scene, doing an improv scene, because when you do an improv scene, the way that usually starts is you walk on stage and someone else has walked on stage, one or more, but let's just pretend it's one. And then you usually have to make eye contact with that person and see where that person is coming from. If you've had a suggestion, it's taken over that person in some way. Maybe that person hopefully made some choice physically, emotionally, with space work that you then look at, and in real time, you breathe that in and then you give back what that inspires you to do. And then that person sees what you're doing. And then you step by step are in this very present moment creating this world together. And if you say something like, Mom, then suddenly the truth is that that person is your mom, right? And you're that person's child. So if that has been established, then later on in that scene, if that person is like to you, right, Dad? You'd look at that person for you would feel like time fucking froze over because suddenly everything that you've known, which is that you fucking in this real time, you both looked at each other and agreed that that person was your mom, and now that person's calling you dad. It's weird. And now you're going to have to be in a crazy world to justify why the fuck that happened. And everything is sort of ruined. I mean, kind of. Yeah, everything that's you've built up or whatever, like normal scene or kind of fun will now be distracted by the craziness and the untruthfulness of what just happened, and it's like it is that kind of what now moment. Where do we go from now if that's real? If that's not what I have to deal with, and once you say it, it's real. Anton, you really think I'm going to think I drank 10 beers when I know I didn't? Or Anton, you really think I'm going to let this go? Or Anton, you really think I'm daft or dumb enough not to know what just happened? Like, it's all a hard thing to swallow. So, improv is so weird for that reason. And what you have to like just be present and listen to. Okay. I'm going to probably go. Only because my throat is hurting, but I can talk for the rest of my life to no one in a room. I'm so happy anyone is. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me. All right, my loves, I will talk to you later. Please let me know what you thought of this 40-hour live when it goes up. Leave comments. Please like the video, and I will talk to you later. Okay, my babes? Oh, yeah, follow me on all the social medias. I'm at Chris L. Farah on Instagram, on TikTok. I have a Substack. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Oh, yeah, one more thing. Take care of yourselves and one another. Stand up for what you believe and make art. It's important. Don't use AI. Don't use ChatGPT. Use yourself, use your mind, and express yourself. Even if it's wrong, it's real. And it's important to be real. Happy birthday, Hawaiian dude. Okay, now I'm leaving. Bye.